Hello and welcome back to the Tech Data Cyber Range Cyber Essentials series. We are the Tech Data Cyber Range engineers, and today we are bringing you course 3, which will cover even more Linux fundamentals. And today we're going to teach you more basic commands for how to navigate the Linux operating system. And after this course, we will finally be able to dive into the different hacking tools that are found within Kali Linux. So overview today, we're effectively going to learn about users and permissions, commands such as chmod and chown, which will assist us with those permissions, ls, more and less, which will help us navigate files and read files from the command line, the pipe command, which helps us concatenate different commands together into single commands, and the grep command, which helps us search for words or patterns within text files. So users and permissions. In an enterprise environment with lots of users and lots of systems, you'll typically use management systems such as Active Directory to manage your users and accounts. However, on a single machine, there are specific commands that you can run to help you do that. So for adding users, you basically use the sudo command to elevate your privileges and use the command add user. So in this example, we would add user Jim, and this will actually create entries in both the etc password and the etc shadow files, which we will show in the demo section. Removing users, just do sudo del user Jim. This effectively undoes the add user command. And if you want to change the password for a user, simply type sudo passwd Jim, and which will change the password for the user that you've selected. Chown and chmod. So all of, think of Linux file and directory ownership into two buckets. You have groups and you have users. So the chown command will allow you to change those ownerships either for files or directories for both owners and groups. And the chmod command, which we'll show in the next slide, will allow you to change specific permissions such as read and write access on those files or directories. So in these examples here, we can see chown the owner or user of a specific file. So this is effectively the syntax of how you would run that command. We can also do chown the user and the group of the file, and or chown user group directory. So these are basically the syntax of how you would change ownership of either files or directories. And we will also give examples of that in the live demo. The chmod command, like I said before, helps you edit specific permissions of a file or directory. Before you use this command, it's definitely helpful to know the current permission settings on a file. This can be done with the ls-lg command. We'll get more into ls momentarily, but for now, an example output would look something like this. You can see these are the permissions right here. It will actually tell you the owner and the group of the file, the date that the file was last modified, and the file name. In this example here, these characters show the permissions. You can get more information on that using the man command for chmod. However, a brief overview. Remember we were talking before how Linux separated things into those buckets of owners and groups. So this first batch, the RWX, are permissions for the file owner. So in this case, the owner has read, write, and execute permissions for that file. The next three are for the group. So the group has read and execute permissions. It does not have write permissions on this file. And the next three are for everybody else. So in this case, everybody else could only execute the file. They could not read or write to it. So if we wanted to change any of these specific permissions, for example, if we wanted to make a file executable for the owner, we would run the chmod u plus x and then the file name command. So this would basically flip the bit and set the permissions for that file to be executable for the user. And if we wanted to reverse that, we simply do chmod u minus x and then the file name. So literally all it's doing is flipping a bit, changing the permission on the files. There is also another way to change permissions. You can do it numerically. More information can also be found on the man page, and we can perhaps show a demonstration of that in the demo video. Next, we'll talk about the ls command. So navigating file structures and file paths in Linux is crucial. We touched on this a bit before with the cd commands in the previous lessons. ls effectively allows you to list the directories and files in the current directory, or if you specify a path explicitly, such as this ls/home/gym, it would list all the files and directories in that folder. Using the -a option after ls, like we see here, will also list hidden files. So hidden files are notated with a dot in front of the file name. And also there's the -l command, which stands for long. So if you wanted a more detailed description of the files, you would attach the -l command on there. Once again, we'll have a demo of that in the demo section. So more and less. So these are utilities for viewing the contents of a file or files on the screen, one screen at a time, and you can navigate backwards and forwards. So if you have a long text file, if you were to just use the cat command, which dumps all of the contents out at once, if the contents are larger than the current screen, you would only see the bottom portion of the file. If you use the more command, this allows you to step through one screen at a time until you get to the end of the file. To use this, you simply say more and then the path to the file name. Less is more. Less is a very similar command to more. It also displays things in a page manner so you can navigate through page by page, and the command, as you can see, is done exactly the same as the more command. You just do less and then the path to your file name. As always, you can find more information on any command using man and then the command name. Pipe dreams. So pipe is an incredibly powerful tool that you can use in the command line. It allows you to concatenate multiple commands. So in this example here, if we wanted to display or list out the files and directories in the /etc directory, you know, because there's so many files and folders in that directory, it would scroll past your screen and you wouldn't be able to see them all. So what we can do instead is we can pipe that output to the less command, which would allow us to iterate through that output. Effectively, what pipe does is it takes the standard output of the first command and uses the output of that as the input to the next command. The other great thing about pipe is you can use multiple pipes in one sequence, so you can chain together as many commands as you want in the command line, and it will just keep piping outputs of the previous command into an input for the next command. A very powerful tool. You can do some really fancy stuff with it. The grep command. So grep is a incredibly powerful tool that you can use to search for patterns or strings inside of a file. Very handy when you're searching for stuff. If you're a bad guy, you know, you can use grep to hunt for passwords and configuration files. So in this case, we're using sample.txt as our file. The command syntax would be grep, whatever the string that you're searching for, in this case bear, we'll use that as an example, and then the name of the file. So if this file exists with the word bear in it, you will see any instance of the word bear will be printed to your screen. If you wanted to search for a pattern that is case insensitive, so by default, everything in Linux is case sensitive, but if you wanted to force it to be case insensitive, you simply use the grep-i and then your pattern and then the file name. And you can also use regular expressions. Regular expressions is kind of beyond the scope of this tutorial, but regular expressions, it's basically a syntax you can use. It's like a shorthand for finding different patterns in strings. And then you can also, in this example, use the pipe command, so you can take the output of something and then grep for a particular pattern. So that's all for the slide presentation this week. We'll follow this up with a short video demonstration of these commands. And in the next module, we will finally be diving into hacking tools, and we are going to cover Nmap, which is kind of one of the Swiss Army knives of hacker tools. So thank you for joining us. We will see you guys next time.